those in government have yet to deliver a genuine attempt to make affordable housing a priority. Apart from the rapacious interest and corruption of the real estate industry and government officials, there is another industry that has influenced the many decades of little to no political action in housing affordability. I'm referring to the private corporations in charge of managing homelessness, which have become a highly profitable business venture. This is the industry that municipalities across the globe contract and hire for providing and or managing shelters, security services, health services, job services, food supplies, maintenance and repair of shelters, cleaning services, as well as legal and financial assistance for those that are homeless. This industry is where most of the tax money dedicated to solve the homeless crisis goes to. For example, Max Neidlinger, a reporter from the German news agency Deutsche Welle, showed in a recent documentary that in the city of Cologne, providing permanent housing cost the city half of providing hotel shelter accommodation to the homeless. And in all cases across Germany, it would be cheaper for governments to provide permanent housing than any form of temporary shelter. The most comprehensive report that I have read about the homeless industry is from the New York City organization I mentioned before, Picture the Homeless. They published it in 2019 with the title, The Business of Homelessness, Financial and Human Costs of the Shelter Industrial Complex. I took the title of this episode from this report. The bottom line is that overall, governments pay much more in homeless services than it would cost to permanently house families or individuals. So who receives the billions of dollars of taxpayers' money? The private homeless industry. The city says it is too expensive to subsidize housing for households of extremely low income, when it actually is more expensive not to. The Department of Homeless Services expense budget relies heavily on contracts, primarily with non-profit shelter service providers. But the service provided are inadequate and wasteful of city resources. The report also determined that the amount of money that the city is expected to spend on operating shelters over the next 3 years would be sufficient to finance housing for all homeless families. And the cost of city subsidies required to create new housing for every homeless household in New York City would be less than what the city is estimated to spend on shelter operating expenses in the coming 7 years. Our neoliberal governments have been subsidizing with public money the highly profitable private homeless industry that manages a human crisis, that they themselves have created in the relentless and unconditional support for the predatory real estate machine and the global financial apparatus that backs it. Homelessness today is deplorably another example of extractive and racial abuse of low-income populations, which are majoritarily black and brown bodies. It is also another perfect example of public wealth transfer to the pockets of rich private individuals. Homelessness is an issue of utmost urgency. Society cannot afford to stay complacent any longer. To address this crisis, the first crucial step is to replace our elected officials with candidates that acknowledge the importance of transferring fiscal and other resources to develop permanent, affordable, and supportive housing at a scale we have never seen before. Research centers and academic institutions must form international coalitions to structure an observatory at the global level of homelessness that can aid in the production of relational and trustworthy data for supporting governmental efforts to eradicate homelessness. Additionally, urgent action needs to be taken to review and assess the effectiveness of emergency shelter policies. It is evident that the current congregate shelter model is a catastrophic failure and must be replaced with housing first policies. I honestly see no other way out of this.